Geekers unite until then. Aha. So, in case you're not hearing it right now, I'm currently not at my house, so apologies for any background noise. I'm actually at my girlfriend's family house, right on their porch. And before anyone starts up in the comments section, no, this isn't my full-time address. I'm a vet. I own my own house, and I do live there some days, believe it or not. Tonight just isn't one of them. So, you might hear a dog barking, or there might be someone...
What do you want?
Oh, there is someone.
Baby, I'm getting it.
So, hold on. And if it sounds a little weird, that's because it is. And I want to say this part straight. No bit, no joke, right up front. Because I need you to actually hear it. And not just wait for the punchline. This isn't about the algorithm tonight. It isn't a like or subscribe episode. I'm not doing this for the number that goes up in the corner of the screen. I'm doing this because it's 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, not on the dot, but I couldn't sit and put on what I'm about to tell you for one more hour, let alone wait till I was back behind my own desk with my own lighting and my own decent microphone. Some things you say from wherever you're standing, whenever they finally boil over. This is one of those. So, pull up a chair. Sit next to me. We're doing this right here. Tonight. Exactly like this. And to be fair, I did ask permission before doing this at somebody else's house, for the record. I'm not an animal. I did not just show up and start yelling about all this next to someone without a heads up. This is sanctioned. There's a difference. Also, tonight isn't a normal episode. Tonight's the full one. No ad reads, no smash that button bit. Just me, you, and about 2 years of receipts I've been sitting on that finally add up to something bigger than any one of them alone. So let's do this right, and let's do this in order. Because I've only told pieces of the story 100 different ways over 2 years, and I don't think I've ever once told it start to finish. So here you go. The actual origin of this show. Chronologically, for the people in the back who've been here since day one, and somehow still don't know the full timeline. About 5 years ago, it was exact... Hold on. So, going back, sorry about that. About 5 years ago, I was exactly like a lot of you watching this right now. Sitting on a beanbag couch that had seen better years, and scrolling the store pages, playing on an Xbox Series S that I managed to snag at a halfway decent price. Because let's be honest, it's the console you get when your wallet says maybe next year, but your addiction says now. Deep down, I wanted a PS5. Everybody wanted a PS5 back in 2021. It was the golden ticket of consoles, except instead of a chocolate factory, you got Spider-Man. And small victory lap here. Less than a year later, I got it. Called it, manifested it, whatever you want to call it. Then about 3 years ago, this is the part most of you don't know the full context on, I was at Full Sail, and I had a school assignment. Just a normal, boring produce a segment assignment. The kind of thing that's supposed to disappear into a grade and a forgotten hard drive. I made a segment called Cosplay, and it worked. It actually worked. In that, oh wait, I'm not terrible at this kind of way. That segment that I worked on is basically the entire skeleton of what you're watching right now. Every bit of that format. The tone, the geeks and geekettes, of it all. That's Cosplay's ghost, walking around in a bigger body. So I left Full Sail with that in my pocket. talk to a very small group of people. I could probably count them on one hand, type small. And somewhere in those conversations, the name emerged. The philosophy emerged. The segments emerged. And by August 8th, 2024, the stage was set. We went live on August 8th, 2024. And, oh boy, if you've been around for a while, you know that initial show was a mess. It was held together with duct tape, determination, and pure spite. But we were running. And then the chaos began. 2 years, and let's tally it up, because if I sit on any one of these too long, I'll start needing a support group instead of a podcast. We had interpersonal issues that I'm still not legally allowed to fully unpack on stream. Think of it like a mid-credits scene where the real plot is happening off camera and you just have to touch me. Trust me on that. It was a lot! We had some bullshit with Discord, which was a tremendous sentence right there. And some bullshit with VR chat, which if you know, you know. And if you don't, protect your peace, keep walking, nothing to see here. We tried to cover Gamescom once. We never had boots on the ground. We were trying to report on it live from home over a stream, because that's where the budget allowed. And the stream itself just didn't go live. It vanished. We recorded a whole night's worth of setup and coverage into the digital equivalent of a shredder. That one still keeps me up sometimes. Somewhere out there is a version of that night that went great. In a parallel universe. And I loathe that guy. We were there for the first Gollum Awards. It was messy. It was glorious. It was ours. The second Gollum Awards never happened. We got pushed out for that one. I want you to sit with that for a second, because failing to launch your own award show 2 years in a row is a genuinely impressive feat of chaos that I don't think enough people gave us credit for at the time. That's not a small-scale problem. That takes effort to have happen to you. And we are, as we speak, rebuilding the third one from the studs up, because apparently we don't learn. We watched generative AI rise up out of nowhere and eat half of the internet's job security for breakfast. We watched Borderlands do whatever it was Borderlands is doing to itself lately, and I'm not going to relitigate that here. Some wounds need time. Some wounds need a whole different episode and possibly a lawyer. And through all of it, every single one of those disasters, we kept the lights on. With duct tape, spite, and whatever caffeine substance we were allowed for that week. We are, and I say this with love, a group of people who have collectively decided that that professionalism is a suggestion, and passion is a mandate. If chaos were a currency, USG would be paying off someone's yacht, single-handedly, out of sheer accidental production value. So that's 2 years. That's the receipts. And I bring all of that up. The Discord bullshit, the Gamescom stream that never happened, the second Gollum Awards that never happened either. Not for sympathy, but so you understand something. None of that broke me. None of that made me want to quit. I survived the VR chat drama. And I will be the first to admit that alone was enough to kind of just send me over the edge. But I am still here. I am here right now. Until about 2 weeks ago. Something did make me want to sit down and write something out entirely different than what tonight's show is. It wasn't Discord. It wasn't an award show. It was bigger than all of us. Bigger than any one channel, any one Discord, any award show that never got off the ground could ever be. So, I've been talking for a minute. So, before we go any further, we do have a sponsor tonight. Yeah, that's right, we have a sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Nobody! That's right. 0 sponsors, 0 brand deals. Katman Entertainment, for God's sake. We're a small YouTube channel. Nobody's writing a check either way. So there's nothing for anyone to threaten to pull. Which actually works out great for tonight's episode. Because I'm not going to stand here and take a check from an industry that I'm trying to tell you is legally redefining the word buy. Alright, here we go. Tired of owning things? Confused by the concept of a permanent purchase? Introducing nothing! Trademark pending. That's right! For the low price of your entire paycheck, you too can license the right to maybe access a thing for a limited time, subject to change, no refunds, terms and conditions apply. Page 47, paragraph 3, subsection 8. Nothing, trademark pending. It's what's for dinner, and also what's in your game library. Come January 2028. Anyways, moving on. So let's actually break this out into layman's terms. And by layman's terms, I mean in exact order of how this shitstorm became. Because the industry hasn't just done this once. They've been lying to your face in installments for about 2.5 years now. And I want you to see the pattern, not just the punchline. In January of 2024, Ubisoft's director of subscriptions, in an actual interview, said, and I'm paraphrasing his exact words here, but you can go and find the transcript yourself, it's out there, that gamers need to get comfortable not owning their games. Comfortable. Like it's a yoga pose. Like downward dog. Except it's downward, bend over, and thank you very much as they walk off with your money. And it wasn't a slip, because over a year later, Ubisoft said it again. This time in a courtroom, in writing, in their legal response to the lawsuit over the crew getting shut down. They argued on the record that buyers never had unfettered ownership rights. Just a license they were well within their rights to revoke, which again, they did. The game doesn't boot anymore. Doesn't matter if you got the disc sitting on your shelf, like a trophy. Congratulations, it's a glorified coaster now. And then, in April of 2025, Nintendo hadn't even put the Switch 2 out yet. That would be until June that they would do that. But they announced the price, and buried right alongside it, in the fine print of the end-user license agreement, is language that makes it explicit. What you're about to buy isn't a copy. It's a limited, revocable license. We shrugged it off. We laughed it off. We said, there is no way this is going to stick. Nintendo is not going to let this happen. But the thing was, it wasn't a joke. It was a prelude to the bigger storm. In April of this year, exactly 1 year after all of this went down, PlayStation quietly rolled out a new DRM check-in system. Every 30 days or so, your console has to phone home and prove you actually own the game sitting on it, or simply refuse to launch at all. No internet that month? Tough shit. Enjoy the loading screen that never loads. Same window. In May of 2026, PlayStation prices go up yet again across every tier. Essential, extra, premium, all of it. So the subscription that already only rents you access gets more expensive to rent. Vertical integration, folks. They own the library, they own the paywall, and now they own a bigger slice of your paycheck too. This leads to late last month. PlayStation quietly pulled hundreds of movies people are already paid for. Not rented, bought out of their digital libraries. No refund, no warning, just gone like they never existed. And also, within days of that, just to make sure nobody thinks this is only a PlayStation problem, Rockstar opens up the pre-orders for Grand Theft Auto 6, the single most anticipated game of the decade. Arguably the game the entire industry's fourth quarter depends on. And the pre-order box does not come with a disc. Code and box, that's it. Rockstar, that company that could have made a statement standing up for physical media with the biggest release in years, instead quietly normalized exactly the thing PlayStation was about to announce days later. It's funny how that timing works out. Also, this leads into the big thing, the big problem, the thing we reported on 2 weeks ago. On July 1st, 2026, less than a week after Rockstar announced it, more than a week after PlayStation removes the movies from the library, they announce to the entire world no more physical discs for PlayStation games at all, starting January 2028. Code in a box or nothing at all. We didn't even catch that same day. We reported on it the day after because it took us a minute to actually believe Sony put that in writing instead of burying it on page, whatever nobody reads. Physical, digital, doesn't matter which one you picked. 6 separate moves from 4 different companies, all in the last 18 months. And every single one lands on the exact same sentence. You don't own your games. I'm not going to lie to you. Part of the fun of this job is reporting the news. That was not fun news to report 2 weeks ago, after it dropped. That was the kind of news that makes you sit down at midnight on a Monday night and write an entirely different script. And look, I could just leave it there, rattle off the date, shake my fist in the air, and move on to the next segment, but I don't think they said a scary sentence actually lands unless you understand what that sentence does to you. Mechanically, the next time you go to turn on your console, on. So let's translate it. Let's actually sit with that for a minute. You don't own your game sounds very abstract until it happens to you on a Tuesday night, on a Thursday night. It means a game you paid full price for, case, disc, the whole kit and caboodle. It can stop launching at any damn time because a server somewhere got a memo. It doesn't matter that the disc is sitting on your shelf like a little trophy of your taste. Doesn't matter that you can hold it in your hand if the license check on the other end says no. The disc becomes a coaster with really nice box art. And don't think going digital is any better. If anything, that's worse. Because there's no disc to even look at, sadly. A digital game you bought straight off a storefront lives or dies entirely by whether that storefront still wants to acknowledge your purchase. No box, no backup, no physical anything to hold on to. Just a license entry in a database somewhere that can quietly zero out. And the game just isn't in your library anymore. You don't get anything. You lose, good sir. It means also, speaking of quotes from movies, it means movies that you bought, not rented, not subscribed to, bought, can just suddenly disappear out of your library with zero notice. No refunds. Because a licensing deal expired somewhere in a boardroom you'll never see the inside of. One day it's there, the next it's not. Like the digital equivalent of finding out someone repossessed your car while you were asleep. It means a check-in system can quietly decide every 30 days or so whether you're even allowed to play the games already sitting on your own hard drive. No internet that month? Tough shit. Enjoy staring at a loading screen that never loads. This isn't just hypothetical outrage. This is the actual state of things. This is what limited revocable license does when you translate it out of legal Latin into plain old English. It means the thing you thought you bought was always just a really expensive permission slip, and permission slips can be torn up. And here's the part that makes me furious, and it should make everyone a little bit furious. None of this required breaking any laws. That's the trick. That's the whole trick. They didn't need to lie to us. They just needed to write a document long enough and boring enough that nobody reads it. and then point at page, 47, paragraph 3, subsection 8, when we get mad. Yeah. Not page 1, where you might actually glance at it. Not the last page, where at least there's a chance you can scroll to the bottom of out of morbid curiosity. Page 47, paragraph 3, subsection 8. Because apparently subsections 1 through 7 weren't enough, buried deep in them. It's nested like a Russian doll, made entirely out of legal disclaimers. You need a flashlight, a law degree, and possibly a search party to find it. And by the time you do, you've already clicked I agree 4 separate times without reading a word. Because who has 45 minutes before a game even launches? That's the section right after arbitration clauses, you waived your right to fight. And right before Appendix C, reasons we're allowed to do this to you, specifically in the state of Nebraska. Written in 8-point font, gray text on a slightly less gray background, by a lawyer who has never once in his life played a damn game. And I picture that guy. I picture him. And he's got to have some lame name, like Gerald. And I bet Gerald has never played a video game in his life, like I said. I bet he thinks Fortnite is a typo. And I think Gerald just sat there on a Tuesday, probably right after lunch, and typed out the exact sentence that legally allows a billion-dollar company in a billion-dollar industry to reach into your house and turn your $500 purchase into a decorative frisbee. And then he went home and had a completely normal, guilt-free dinner. And then he went to bed, probably slept with his wife. It's a loveless marriage. Either way, he did all that. There is your villain, folks. Not a mustache-twirling CEO who is putting the PlayStation to the railroad tracks. No, it's Gerald. Gerald from Legal. Page 47, paragraph 3, subsection 8. Never forget his name. I made it up, but never forget. And we here at United States of Geek, we try to bring you fun, lighthearted stuff every day in our Discord. Yes, the same Discord that's caused us bullshit. It contains multitudes. Movies, TV, anime, video games, the good stuff. Because I still remember the promise I made to myself years ago. Back when I was just casually playing games I loved. Back when I was learning how to do any of this. Back when owning something meant something. I was about 4 years old. My mother's PlayStation 1. First game I ever played was a puzzle title called The Bombing Islands. And before anyone in the comments basically bitches and complains, it's a real game. I have had people come up to me over the years going, it's not real. Yes, it is. Look it up. Kemco made it. It's about angry clowns who blow bombs up on 6 continents. It's exactly as unhinged as it sounds. And I loved it. Second game was extremely goofy skateboarding. Which, if you know your Disney Geek cups, you know that game had no business being as chaotic as it was. And yes, I'm fully aware that 4-year-old me alone in a room, gleefully running a cartoon dog face first into a digital lake, over and over, laughing every single time, is a little concerning. I've made my peace with it. You should too. But never once in the 24 years of playing video games, not as a job, just as a person who loves this hobby, did I ever feel like I owned a license to play a damn video game. Never once did I feel like I had to sit down and read an end-user license agreement, like it was a prenup before I could enjoy a cartoon dog falling down a hill. Never once did I think I could drop $500 across 5 different titles in 3 different months. Because apparently that's just my personality now. And I'd still have to question whether or not I'd even like any of them before writing a review that I read to nobody, post in a Discord channel, and let it die in the void. And that's not even counting the one time I dropped a full $500 on a single game. One game, one purchase, collector's edition. The statue, the art book, the whole 9 yards. Like a man who has never once made a good financial decision in his life. I regret nothing. I also regret everything. Both things are true. And look, I know some of you are going to say, no, what? It's just an end-user license agreement. Calm down. Nobody reads them anyway. You didn't read yours, and you're damn right. Nobody reads them. That's the whole scam. It's the world's longest, most boring legal document, specifically engineered so that the one time it actually matters, the one time a company decides to pull the plug, you find out the hard way. Mid-boot screen, controller in hand, dignity nowhere to be found. It's like signing a prenup you never read and finding out on your wedding night that your new spouse legally owns your Xbox. So, here's where I'm at, ladies and gentlemen. I'm at a crossroads. Like, genuinely at a crossroads. Because I had a whole other script written. I was going to retire from the games market. It was going to be very dramatic. It was very, the crown weighs heavy on me. Very, I'm tired, Grandpa. But between all of that, I had to tell myself, well, too damn bad. Between the remakes, the money-grubbing cash grabs, the misunderstandings, the legal jargon that requires a 175 on the LSAT just to parse a single paragraph, and the bone-deep, incomplete feeling I get finishing a game. Not picking it back up for months until a friend of mine gets on my ass about it. I forgot why I liked this hobby in the first place. Because it's a business at the end of the day. A machine. A thing where they decide who gets in, who stays in. And sure, it's aiming for a younger audience now. But that's almost worse than being flat out told you don't own a copy of a game. You drop 60, 70, 80, 100. Or if you wanted the statue and the keychain and the little art book nobody reads, upwards of $200 to $500 on. Look, I'm not trying to pick a fight with an industry that statistically is not watching some guy yell on his girlfriend's patio at 6:30 on a Thursday afternoon. But no one from these companies is watching. So let me just say it plainly, no filter, because apparently that's the only volume that gets through to a boardroom. I have watched this industry take genuine artistry, people who pour years of their lives into something that makes a kid feel like Goofy running into the water is the single greatest event in human history. And I've watched the same industry hand the final decision-making power to people whose entire understanding of fun is a quarterly earnings call. People who has never sat in front of a TV, a CRT TV, crisscross applesauce, and play. People who think player retention is a personality trait instead of a euphemism for keep them paying. Now those same people get to decide whether the thing you loved as a 4-year-old still exists tomorrow. That's not a business model. That's a hostage negotiation with a subscription tier and a controller in your hand instead of a gun to your head. And somehow, we're the ones being told to get comfortable. And I want to be really clear about something before I go any further. Because I think it matters more than anything else I say tonight. None of this is about views for me. None of this is about the number in the corner of the screen. I've been doing this for... I've been doing this for almost 2 years.
It ain't enough that you can.
And
You didn't have an outstanding.
I've eaten enough Discord bullshit and no-show award ceremonies to know that cloud doesn't keep you warm at night. This is about something a lot smaller and a lot bigger than a subscriber count. This is about the fact that somewhere out there is a kid exactly 4 years old sitting in front of the screen for the first time, about to fall in love with something, and I don't want that kid's love letter getting intercepted by a lawyer named Gerald before it gets sent. Hi, Gerald. Because here's the thing. that gets lost in all of the corporate legalese. And all of my yelling about it. Video games were never supposed to be about the money. They were built to take our minds off the stress of a mundane, everyday life. School, work, love, existing as a person in a body that pays bills. It was never supposed to be drop $80 on the base game, 20 more on a mechanic you don't even own. And of course, you don't own the rights to the game itself, so yeah. We own, as we always have, a piece of the code, a copy of something a little magical. The privilege of running a cartoon dog face first into digital water over and over again, laughing every single time. So, here's the thing. Here's the call to arms here, folks. We own our memories. That's not written in an end-user license agreement. We own our childhoods. PlayStation and Nintendo sure as hell don't. We own our lives, our history, our future. No DLC, no microtransactions, no terms and conditions, clause buried on page 47, paragraph 3, subsection 8. The simple thought of this, folks, is this. They want more and more and more out of us gamers, until there's nothing left to squeeze. Well, I've got news for Gerald. You can't squeeze what walks away. So here's the royal crossroads, ladies and gentlemen. We either get pushed straight into the trash exactly where they want us, quiet, compliant, comfortable, like Ubisoft ever so acts nicely back in January of 2024, or we get up and we get at it. And I've spent this whole episode being loud, because loud is how I process things. But I want to say the next part very softly, because I think it's the truest thing I've said tonight. You were not wrong to love this. Whatever it was, a puzzle game, a cartoon game, whatever it was. You were not foolish for caring. The people telling you to get comfortable owning nothing are the ones who should be ashamed, not you. Don't let them make you feel silly for wanting to keep something that mattered to you. That instinct is not naivety. That instinct is right. We will not get comfortable. We will not be quiet. We will not get out of the way. And here's what getting at it actually looks like, because I'm not going to stand on somebody's porch and just tell you to be mad online. Mad online is free. Mad online changes nothing. So here's what costs them something instead. There is already a movement out there fighting this exact fight. It's called Stop Killing Games, and it exists for the sole purpose of making sure that when a company sells you a game, they don't get to reach into your back pocket years later and switch it off. Go find it. Get in the Discord. Sign the petitions. Share it. That's not me being dramatic. That's a real existing actionable thing you can do in the next 5 minutes tonight, before you even finish this episode. There are consumer protection agencies whose entire job is exactly this. The FTC in this country and equivalents everywhere else watching. They exist because somebody at some point decided companies should not be allowed to sell you a locked box and call it a purchase. File the complaint. One person filing a complaint is a nuisance. 100,000 people filing the same complaint is a pattern, and patterns get regulators' attentions in more ways than one. And this is the one that actually works. The one they can't spin. The one they can't bury on page 47, paragraph 3, subsection 8. Vote with the only language a billion-dollar industry has ever actually spoken with. Your wallet. Don't pre-order the discless box. Don't renew the subscription that just got more expensive to rent. Every dollar you don't hand them for a license dressed up as ownership is a dollar that shows up in a shareholder meeting as a problem somebody else has to explain. Because here's the truth they're all betting on. Every single one of them. Ubisoft, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Rockstar. They're betting that we complain loud for a week and then go back to pre-ordering next quarter's game anyway. They've done the math. They know outrage has a shelf life. Prove them wrong. Make the shelf life longer than their quarter. We are not asking anymore. Rewrite the terms or we will rewrite the industry without us in it. This is not a boycott. This is not a trend. This is a generation that grew up being told to share, to say please, to clean up after itself, finally turning around and asking the only people in the room who never learned any of that, who taught them we own you, was ever an acceptable thing to put in writing. I wanted to retire. I wrote the whole speech. It's a good speech. Honestly, kind of proud of it. But I can't give up. Not while this is happening. Not while there's a kid out there right now about to blow their entire allowance on a game that legally was never really theirs to begin with. Somebody's got to be loud about this in a semi-professional capacity. Might as well be the guy sitting on his girlfriend's porch on a Thursday night at 6 o'clock. I do not want to get banned for any of what I just said. Genuinely. That's not a threat. That's just me being honest that I like my job. But I also don't want to live in a world where any of this is normal. And like I told someone years ago, and I'll say it again to anyone willing to give me an ear. In order for something to really change, something truly awful must happen first. Well, congratulations, industry. You've officially hit truly awful. Achievement unlocked. And hey, if you're one of the actual humans working on inside these companies watching this, the artists, the writers, the Q&A testers, who get crunched into oblivion, the developers, the people who actually made Goofy fall in that water in the first place, this isn't directly aimed at you. You're not the ones deciding whether a license gets revoked at 2 a.m. This is for whoever's sitting 3 floors above you deciding your work is a content delivery vehicle instead of the reason a 4-year-old fell in love with the whole medium in the first place. You know who you are. Do better or at least get outvoted. Alright. With that said, that's enough whatever I was this week. And genuinely, I think all of you for sitting with me through all of this. Half yelling at a computer screen. Just remember your actual first game. Let me know in the comments what it was. Sit with it for 1 second, then go loud about that fact that nobody in any boardroom anywhere gets to tell you that your feelings belongs to them. With that being said, here's your Critic's Quest for July 16th, 2026. And it's a quick one, folks. It is a quick one. We're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag Resynced. And this now is directed towards Ubisoft. I don't know whether I hate you or I like you. You gave us a lot of genuinely great games growing up. You also got a hook that just wants to leech our wallets dry and leave a bitter taste afterwards. I'll always have a soft spot for this series, outside of Valhalla, outside of Shadows. And Black Flag's the one I'm always going to be a little mixed on. For anyone who hasn't played it, you're Edward Kenway, a pirate dragged into the war between assassins and Templars, sailing the Caribbean between 1715 and 1722. Relived through the Animus. Basically, it's the same story you remember. It's just beautiful on PlayStation 5. And look, the formula's been sailing since 2013, but instead of pretending she's still some fresh-faced deckhand, they brought in a few experienced hands from Valhalla, Mirage, and Shadows to show her a good time below decks. Old ship, new crew. And somehow, everybody still finds their way to the right hole. And that hook I mentioned, it's not just the wallet leeching kind anymore, it's the kind hidden in the terms that you signed. The same one every game on your shelf is quietly wearing now. The one that means Ubisoft can reel the whole ship back in. And they decide the treasure is theirs. I just spent the whole episode running Ubisoft up the yard on 'em. And here I am, still kind of into their game. Hypocritical. I know it. The hook doesn't cancel out the game, though. If you loved Black Flag in 2013, you'll love it in 2026. So, if X marks the spot, ladies and gentlemen, the spot is a standing ovation. So that's the episode. A game I love, made by a company I just spent 30 minutes dragging. And both of those feelings are still true at once. And that's not a contradiction. That's just loving this hobby. That's just what loving this hobby feels like right now. Ubisoft telling you to get comfortable. Nintendo burying it in fine print. PlayStation saying it out loud. Rockstar going quiet with it. And I still handed one of their games our highest score. Because good art does not stop being good art just because someone's trying to pick your pocket on the way out. Hold both. Love the game. Distrust the company. Play Black Flag. Don't play Black Flag. Sign Stop Killing Games this week. Or any petitions they may be pushing forward. Or don't. That's not on me. That's more on you. Sign it. Don't. Skip the pre-order. Don't. Keep loving it. Don't. I've said my piece. What you do with it from here, that's your call to make. For right now, though, I want you all to stop playing. I want you all to stop watching. Go play something you love tonight. And remember, it's still yours tomorrow. From all of us here at USG, I've been your host. Stay geeky.